Thanks, that's Dr. Ben. Next question is from David. Good morning, David. The question is why the government has not acted to choose one or more of the simpler and more effective COVID-19 tests and throw whatever it takes at it to produce enough for blanket testing. We've rapidly retooled plants, I know, for tanks and planes and such in the past, but I've heard little about efforts to produce such tests. Yes, I think there are probably a couple of things at work there. So I'm assuming, I'm going to guess and assume you're writing from America. If you're writing in the UK, I think the ones that are done by the NHS are more standardized. So in the US, we've got a couple different tests. So the one that they really need to scale up, the one that's most useful, is the test that says whether a person is infected. And that is the actual, called a PCR test or a nucleic acid test or, I don't know, those are the only two I've really heard. But they're directly looking for a piece of the virus inside you. And the virus is something that's only inside you if you're infected, really. There's pretty much no other way you would have enough virus to detect, except if you were to some extent infected. And if you're infected, then we know that, yes, we need to keep you away from everybody else, make sure you're taken care of, make sure you're isolated, check all your contacts around you. That's the one that actually helps us slow this thing down and try and catch up to where the virus has spread. Yeah. So as for why they haven't chosen one and just, ramped it up, mix of things. So the CDC has actually certified a particular test, or two particular tests. They're called the N1 and the N2 test. But the CDC doesn't manufacture things. And so initially they thought, well, at least as far as I understand it, the thinking was, let's let a lot of different companies produce the N1 and the N2. So they put them out there. They weren't patented or anything like that, so everybody can make them. And as a result, you might have 50 different manufacturers in the U.S. of different versions of the N1 and N2. By which different versions, I mean they're exactly the same version. It's just that they come in a different package. Like some of them make a little module where you just put the sample in the top and then it pulls the RNA out of the sample and does some tests on it and turns it into DNA and then does the test on it. And other people have, or other companies offer different versions. They may just be the last step of the test, or they may be like a kit that helps you do the first, second, third step. It's a multi-step thing, and there isn't a super efficient workaround for it. Even the ones that do it all in a little module, it's pretty expensive, and those are pretty hard to get at the moment. So, and you have to have exactly the right machine, or else, your little thingy doesn't plug in. And, the other one I think is that perhaps we're leaning a little bit toward reliance on the free market sort of thing. And again, as a non-economist, I can only talk about this in the vaguest possible terms. But the idea is, I think, to let the private sector solve this problem. Now, when a problem is serious enough in the past, such as in wartime, generally you see the government stepping in and doing things exactly like you say. I know there was talk about retooling an offline GM assembly line to make ventilators, and I've seen several companies saying, oh, we have machines that could be making 50, 100,000 masks a day. Just we need a little bit of funding to turn them back on. And for the most part, it looks like we haven't seen much of that. And I don't know. On the one hand, you could say, well, this is good. It's capitalism. It's the free market. The invisible hand is making sure that everybody, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the invisible hand's supposed to do. But it's basically supposed to, I guess, match the two microeconomic curves, like demand and supply. Again, it's been a while. So as far as I understand, that's what it is. But the way it comes off is as, this uncoordinated mess. And that's what I mean when I'm saying that we haven't really started to, actively, as a country, do much about this. We've talked about it, and we've mostly left it up to individuals or individual little places to try and do whatever they can. And that's no way to fight a war. I think it's just the way of thinking about this. I'm thinking about this as the greatest existential threat to the United States since, I don't know, yeah, Revolutionary War, maybe. And I guess there are other people just thinking that this is a blip and it's mostly economic and whatever, we'll be fine. And I don't think those people are scientists for the most part. I think they're mostly people from other branches of life that don't really have a clue about what's going on in terms of the way viruses spread and what the long-term picture of this is. It seems like short-term thinking to me, but just from a scientific point of view, my total focus is on how can we get rid of this virus the fastest, because once we actually get rid of it everywhere on Earth now, because it's spread, then we can actually start to move on and do other things. So there we go. It's my convoluted answer. That's at least as far as I can tell. That's what's going on. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's just a philosophy that works out in some cases and is a really bad idea in other cases. And I think this is one of those other cases. Yeah. And so all philosophies can be changed. These are ideas. People get new ideas all the time. And I'm just hoping that people have an open mind who have the power and ability to do things about this, and we'll look at it and just see if there's maybe a different way we could go, because this is not doing great right now. All right, thanks very much. This has been Ask Dr. Ben. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid getting political. Really trying. Have a good day, and thanks very much for a thought-provoking question.